when we evaluate a region, we're of course looking for the growth of our business, but more importantly, of economic development and of the game itself.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of SBJ's On Stage. I'm your host, Taylor Bloom, and our next conversation with a sports industry mover and shaker this week is with Amy Brooks, the NBA's president of New Business Ventures. This conversation took place on March 5th, 2025 at SBJ's Tech Week in New York City, where Amy was interviewed by SBJ's managing director, Dan Kaufman. As NBA navigates an increasingly global and tech-driven future, Brooks shared how the league is reimagining fan experience, investing in international growth, and continuing to innovate across the business. It's a really great look inside the NBA's blueprint for growth from one of the league's top executives. Let's go on stage.
President of New Business Ventures for the NBA, Amy Brooks.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Amy. All right, I've got the iPad here, so if you do have questions, send them our way. Amy told me in the green room that this was her second most important speaking engagement this week, which made me a little bit upset. But when she told me what the other one was, I accepted it. Amy is the keynote speaker at her daughter's 8th grade career day. Friday? Saturday? Friday. All right.
Very important.
So that is more important than this, but we're glad you're here as well, Amy.
Yes,
Thank you.
my daughter's worried about being embarrassed. Yes.
Yes, and I mean, there are worse moms, I think, that could probably embarrass a daughter. The job you have is pretty cool, so I think your daughter's gonna be happy at the end of the day. So I'm gonna start out with a quote, and this is actually a quote in SBJ from Deputy Commissioner Tatum, and he said this. I think this is a good way to kick it off. He said, if you look at, for example, Amazon Prime started off as a bookseller, and now they've gone into, you name it, into grocery. They're going into, obviously, video. So many different things. I'm not saying that we modeled this after Amazon, but that's the kind of example that we're thinking about, where the NBA brand right now is a basketball league and is obviously our core business, but we're thinking about what are the other new ventures and areas of the NBA brand we can get into. What's your reaction to Deputy Commissioner's quote there?
It's obviously an excellent quote.
Obviously.
I'm very grateful to Adam Silver and Mark Tatum for being visionary with this role, which I've been in about a year. But I think Amazon, I mean, they sold books, and they recognize their core competency is selling well over e-commerce in a personalized way. The analogy to our business, our core business is basketball. But if you take a look, and Peter Guber, one of our owners, said this to me one time, it's like, we're actually in almost every business. Like, we're, in some ways, a digital media company. We are a live entertainment company. We're a ticketing company in some ways. We're a concessionaire in some ways, right? And so what we're trying to do, though, are find businesses that take advantage of the unique assets within our core and can develop adjacent businesses. And that's what Amazon did so well. And that's part of my role is, what are our new revenue opportunities, both domestically and globally, where we can leverage our IP, our core business, to create new businesses.
So I think there's probably, you said a few things there, but let's start maybe with globally.
Yes.
Right. So that's one area that we'll talk about. We'll also touch on youth as well and the growth there. Let's start with Europe, a country in Europe where you see the most growth that's currently happening, and then maybe another one that might have the more potential for growth.
Yeah, we're so excited about Europe. And you take a step back of what's happened recently regarding basketball in Europe. Let's talk about the Olympics, which were in Paris. So I have to talk about France first. We were just there for our game, Spurs versus Pacers, last month. The Olympics were there. The French national teams got silver medal, both men and women. So and then obviously we brought Victor Wembanyama to Paris. And it was amazing. Yep. To see the reaction of the fans there. The 2 games we played there were the highest rated NBA games ever in France, just indicative of the potential. And so we see, France, Spain, Germany, there's several, Serbia, huge growth in Serbia as well. Jokic driving some of that, obviously. So we're seeing growth throughout Europe in terms of engagement, and we're excited about the business opportunity there.
Okay. In terms of engagement, how are you measuring that growth? Is it merchandise sales? Is it literal eyes on the product?
Well, of course, we're measuring viewership, which is up in Europe. We're measuring social media impressions. It's like we've got like 700 million impressions that we have had this year, which is a record. And then we're also measuring merchandise sales and other metrics like that, definitely.
Okay. What's the
A lot
latest?
of Wembayama jerseys.
A lot of
that I saw.
Wembayama jerseys.
Qualitative feedback. I
Rightfully
saw a
so.
lot.
Rightfully so. Yeah. What's the latest with NBA Europe?
So, I mean, as the commissioner said, we're in the exploratory phases of a potential league in Europe in collaboration with FIBA. Nothing's ready to be announced yet, but we're excited because we see the business potential there. We're the second biggest, basketball is the second biggest team sport in Europe. And the commercialization has not followed. And so we're actively looking at that, and we think we have the ability to be additive to that.
Reaction to Maverick Carter's proposed league?
I don't have a reaction. You know, all I know is what I read, similar to everyone else. But I think it does show the interest and the popularity of basketball globally.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything holding you guys back from growing in Europe? What do you see in the way, if there is anything?
Well, I think you just look at the ecosystem today, and there's a lot of fragmentation. There's a lot of competing leagues. It may be hard for fans to follow. But at the same time, you want to respect the traditions that are there. So as we look at this opportunity, we're trying to find a balance between what we know and respecting what's there today.
Mm-hmm. Let's shift to Africa. Do you frame the opportunity there similar to the way you frame the one in Europe? How is it different?
Different is, you know, I think where the economies of the two regions are today. It's stating the obvious. I think we see Africa as a long-term bet. I mean, this is, you know, there's over 1 billion people in Africa. The GDP is growing at like 7 or 8%. So we're seeing these large growth rates. We're seeing the emergence of the middle class. And importantly, and this is a similarity to Europe, I should have mentioned, you know, we have 125 international players in the NBA this year. Mm-hmm. Roughly half of those are from Europe. Mm-hmm. Roughly 10% are either from Africa or have a parent born in Africa. Okay. So both are big talent opportunities in terms of cultivating talent as well. So, but Africa, as you may know, we've had an office in Africa since 2010 in Johannesburg. In 2021, we started an entity, NBA Africa, and then the Basketball Africa League. So we're about to start our 5th season of the Basketball Africa League this year. And that's just been a tremendous opportunity for us because when we evaluate a region, we're of course looking for the growth of our business, but more importantly, of economic development and of the game itself. And what happens in a region like Africa, and let me tell just a quick story if you don't mind, because I think this illuminates it. So you want to have a local league, because in order to be globally relevant, you have to be locally relevant as well, the sport. And there's only 450 players in the NBA. So for a kid growing up somewhere in the world who's looking to make a living for his family, you may just say this is too far of a reach. What we've created in Africa and what we're trying to create is that ability to say, okay, I can stay home and have a career of this. So, but one example of someone is Kaufman Malwatch, who's a Duke player now. And this is someone who grew up in South Sudan, whose family fled to Uganda, who was walking 45 minutes to play basketball, shooting a ball through a tire. He's then at our academy in Senegal. He's played 3 seasons in the Basketball Africa League. He's at Duke now and projected NBA top draft pick. So, you know, and not just him, but like others, there's a pathway to, and this is what creates, there's an economic flywheel that goes along with it. You know, we're very focused on how much what we do in Africa is contributing to the GDP.
Yep.
We're focused on how many jobs we're creating, and things like that.
Interesting. Can you talk a little more about the economic flywheel, not just maybe growing the GDP within the countries, but how is it beneficial for the NBA beyond just the talent acquisition?
Well, of course, long term, we think it's a business opportunity, and we have strategic investors to help us realize that business opportunity. We have 5 offices now. This is 54 countries.
Yeah.
So in order to really be in Africa, you have to be in these individual countries. You have to be in Egypt. You have to be in Nigeria. And I was in Rwanda for our Basketball Africa League finals last year, and I saw it firsthand. And you have to be local. And so that's been the focus as well. But we see it as a long-term business opportunity for us.
Okay. All right. What's holding you back in Africa? What challenges do you see that might be different from
It's what I mentioned. With 54 countries,
Yeah.
many different languages, travel isn't always easy. So there's some logistical barriers there, certainly. But again, as the economy grows and the middle class grows and countries focus on, we see basketball as ways to bring people together. You also see basketball as a way to get people exercising. It's healthy. And so all of these really tie well to government's priorities too.
You want to touch on India as well? Talk to us about the opportunity.
Yeah, India, again, we're very interested in regions with over 1 billion or more people.
Naturally, all right.
India being one of them. And this has, some similarities and some differences, right? This has not traditionally been a talent hotbed. That said, we're very focused. It starts, when we go to a different region, it starts with grassroots development. And we're very much investing in grassroots development in India. And then it starts with bringing our content in different ways to a country. And then at live games. I went to Mumbai in 2019 when we brought a game there. And you just see the ability. Obviously, this is a country focused on cricket today, but we see the potential, when there's supposed to be, in 2030, the middle class is supposed to be 600 million people. In 2035, sports viewers are supposed to be 800 million. Like, you see those projections, and we think there's a real opportunity to grow the sport of basketball in a way, in the same way that we talked about. Like, this is people getting healthier. Basketball is it's a very easy to understand game. It's an approachable game. You just heard my story about a ball and a tire. Like, you need a hoop and a ball. And so we see a lot of opportunity for growth there.
Okay. Let's go back to Africa really quickly. Last fall, you had a demo day, I think it was the NBA Africa Triple-Double Accelerator.
Yes.
Tell us about that, and then I also want to transition then to NBA Launchpad, how those two work together or how they're separate.
Great, I'll hit on that. So this goes back to the economic flywheel, as I was mentioning. So one of the programs we do in Africa is called the Triple-Double Accelerator Program, and this is where companies get to apply to this program in ways that their technology can help benefit the NBA and benefit the economy. And we had over 700 companies apply. We had the top 10 finalists come to New York, present to a bunch of industry leaders and our executives, and we're mentoring and providing economic support to these companies. So an events company in Nigeria was the first place winner this year, but by just stimulating this environment, it's kind of like we're doing today and what many of you do with your company. Like, you're trying to make the fan experience better or other types of things that will benefit the economy and entertainment in general. This is a derivative, in a way, or a spinoff of the NBA Launchpad program, which we've run for the last 3 years. And this was a program where we're trying to use, not every innovation happens within our walls. Like, we want to use others and partners. And so helping solve problems, and I wouldn't say problems, it's opportunities. How can we improve player health? How can we grow youth basketball? On the business side, how can we engage fans in new and different ways? So we've had 22 companies go through this program in the last 3 years, and we've had some real success stories, and for all over the map, business and basketball. I would point to, we had a micro betting company where they were able to produce 15 to 20,000 types of bets. I mean, these are types of bets on a game that would be who's the first player to score 7 points, right? Or who's the first team to 15. These are, and we had that company then picked up by Sportradar, our partner, right? That's and Venue, who that company was. So we have these. We're just trying to have pilot with them and proof of concept, and maybe introduce to our teams. Many of our teams using these. So it's been a great catalyst for just technology development in a focused way that focused on the opportunity areas that we see.
Any other impressive tech coming out of Launchpad? You don't have to name the name, but
well, I will. Listen, you saw the video. One of the things we love to focus on is how can we bring our fans to the game in new and different ways. And there's this company called One Court that we're working with in our current cohort, and this is for blind and visually impaired people at games. And you have a tablet, and you have tactile movements, haptics. So you're watching the game, and there's a dunk, and you can feel the game. And I've seen some of the clips. The Portland Trailblazers is one team that use it, and you have this blind kid at the game who's able, with his family, to enjoy the game in the moment. And it's not just the game live, it's watching the game in the moment. And so you see things like that as how can we bring fans who maybe weren't able to enjoy games in new and different ways. So I love companies like that too.
I want to shift to youth real quickly if we could. And I'll start it with this way. Is the youth opportunity for the NBA greater internationally or domestically?
You probably won't be satisfied, but it's both. It's both. I mean,
right.
you heard my story of the players. You know, we've got 125 over 450 players coming internationally today.
Yeah.
It's only growing. And you know, you look back, and I'll come back to your youth question. You look back to 1992 in the Dream Team, and we had 21 international players back then. And so you see this catalyst, and you see youth development, and you see our best players, 5 out of our last 6 MVPs, coming from Europe. So I think it's both,
okay.
and it's an opportunity it's a business opportunity and a basketball opportunity. That's probably where you're going here.
Yep.
So we think there's a big opportunity for skill development, and there's also an opportunity to extend skill development and play in ways using technology too. Okay. And so we always look at different businesses on, you know, maybe we looked at something before and it's not quite ready yet, and I think technology uniquely can help add things to a business where the timing might make it better today than before. And so I say that with youth because we're looking at different types of things where, you know, what technologies do our teams use? What other ways are kids playing basketball? Where, you know, how can we see the future? AI coaching. I can't wait till that, right? Like my daughter plays basketball, and both of them do, and you got to work on your left hand, and now you have to take it upon yourself to go and find, okay, what are some left-handed basketball drills? Like, imagine if you're in a world where Steph Curry or Caitlin Clark, you immediately served up the drills that they use. So we're excited about that type of technology, bringing it to youth.
Is the skill development opportunity domestically more important than internationally, just given that 5 of the 6?
Well, we're very cognizant of the different ways players are developed globally, and the amount of gameplay as a ratio to the amount of practice and skill development. And so we're very focused on, and we've done a lot of work in the elite ecosystem in partnership with FIBA, in partnership with Nike. But it's how can we continue to work on the elite ecosystem while extending it really to the entire ecosystem?
Yeah. Talk a little bit then about the commercial opportunity with youth and bringing more basketball to youth, both internationally and domestically.
Yeah, and I touched on that too. I do think this is, you know, I have a lot of kids that play, I don't have a lot of kids. I have 2 kids that play a lot of sports. And as a parent, it's very fragmented. All of these sports, I have many apps on my phone for all of my kids' sports. And so within that, and I don't think we're ready to pinpoint the exact opportunity, but there's both a in-person opportunity for better skill development, play, training, et cetera, and there's also a digital opportunity. Like I mentioned, the AI coach, just having one app and a path for a basketball player that contains everything in their own journey. So we do see potential there.
Okay. Let's shift to artificial intelligence, AI. 2-part question, really. And the first question is going to be about fan-facing AI applications. Actually, let's make that's going to be the second question because we got the videos to show this in that order. So that'll be the second question. But the first question will be more league side, operations side. Are there practical implementations of AI that you have seen, whether it's at team or league level, and what are the examples? And
Great.
We have a video to show one of the examples.
Let me give a little context first. Right. Yeah, so one of the opportunities with AI is just efficiency, as we all know. And one of the challenges, I've worked with our teams for many years, and one of the challenges is fans have a lot of questions when they go to games. Many of the questions are similar. Where do I park? What's the best entrance? All of those things. And we've had innovations in years, certainly, with AI chat, but we have the Toronto Raptors won our Team Innovation Award this year for their use of AI, multiple different uses. But I wanted to show this video as one example that's coming this spring of how using a voice agent to answer these questions. All
right, let's cue the video.
Welcome to Scotiabank Arena. What can I help you with?
I need help with Raptors tickets.
Sure thing. Here are the next 5 Raptors games. Let me know if you have any other questions or if you need help purchasing tickets.
I need help purchasing Leafs tickets for next weekend.
Of course. Check out the upcoming Leafs games below. Do you have a particular day or team in mind that you'd like to see?
Can you help me book a table for 2 for tonight's game?
Yes, I can help you with that. Take a look at some restaurant options below and let me know which one you prefer.
I lost my phone at last night's game.
Oh no, sorry to hear that. Fill in this form so that I can start a lost and found case and see what we can do to help you.
When did the Leafs play next?
The next Leafs game is against the Dallas Stars on January 12th. I went ahead and have reserved 2 tickets for you. Click on the link to complete checkout. See you at the game.
Do you know were they using like a ChatGPT or another tech to back that, or was it proprietary?
This they built themselves.
They did?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're building themselves with a partner. I'm not sure which partner though. But this just shows this can save hours and hours of people's time answering these similar questions, but also just be better. Like you lose your phone, that's awful. Like can I quickly call someone and get an answer? So we're really excited about this and some of the other things they're doing.
How does, when the Raptors are working on that, does that come to your office? Do you hear about it? Like, do you hear about the various things that the teams are doing? Do they consult you on it?
Yes, and not me. You know, my former role is leading team marketing and business operations. My colleague, Jonathan Tillman, leads it now. Who's fantastic. We had sales and marketing meetings in Miami just a couple months ago. We had 3 teams, Portland and Krista's here, I think, at this conference. They were one of them as well. We had 3 teams presenting. Because AI, I mentioned to you this backstage, like, what's the advantage of AI? Oh, it's personalization and efficiency. Unless you're actually seeing the detail, like of that video, you don't really understand, well, what does it really do?
Yep.
And so on stage, they had him present to the other teams and share, and then they won the Team Innovation Award as well. So that's the way that we're actively sharing what's working.
Okay, and we have another example, and this one is going to be more fan forward, less kind of operational efficiency, more fan forward. Do you want to tee that one up as well?
Yeah, sure. So at the league, we're working with Microsoft very closely on various forms of AI, and one of the things that let me give one example before I tape the video. Personalization is such a thematic, but it takes the form of insights. So if you go to the NBA app and you're in the middle of a game, AI is, instead of at the end of the game and someone writing the game summary and all that, they're automatically able to see the score and the context of what's happened in the game using AI and summarize insights, which I think is great. This one, so this is Dunk Score, and what this is it uses AI to track, and in partnership with Hawkeye and player tracking as well, to track, and you'll see it in the video, so I won't over-explain it, but a player, how far away from the basket they take off, how high they get, whether they were defended or not, and the context of the game to give a dunk score. So you can prioritize, is this dunk better than this dunk? It's a fun way to engage fans, but you can.
All right, cool.
Play
Let's
that.
cue the video.
And only had 1 shot attempt in that first half. Another turnover for Utah. Edwards gets it back. Hurt his hand on that too. That was ridiculous.
Excellent. Was that done through, was that a team that developed that? Or?
No, this is the league. So
the
this,
league,
if you're
okay.
on the NBA app right now, you
Okay,
can see
got
the
it.
dunk score technology. But this is just something we think can be built on as well. And there's a lot of different engagement opportunities there.
Okay.
But by and large, just separate from these 2 examples, the real opportunity is in this personalization globally. We just spent however long talking about these international opportunities. You know, our games are broadcast in over 200 countries. We have 60 some odd localized social media pages and I think 17 different websites and everything. But imagine a world where you can automatically translate, contextualize, localize this content in a way that suits someone in India or someone in the 54 countries in Africa immediately. So the global opportunity using AI we see is tremendous. And of course, domestically, it's just all about personalization. We're getting there now. I grew up in Sacramento. It's like people in Sacramento, like you want to see the Kings and what's the latest with the Kings. And we have that now. If you or by and large, if you're selecting that, but there's a world where that's known and you just get what you want when you want it, and it's coming closer. So we're very focused on that.
Yeah. Huge NBA media rights deal over the past year. Congratulations to the entire group. How does that affect what you do on a day-to-day basis, if it does?
We're thrilled about it, and our new partners in Disney, NBC, and Amazon, and new and existing, I should say. And we just see a lot of potential to bring some of this technology to the broadcast in a personalized way, and I know they do as well. You know, all of our games globally will be on a streaming partner for the first time. But as it affects my role, I'm just excited about partnering with some of these companies in new and different ways in and around the game. From a business, these are vast businesses. You know, Amazon alone has 250 million Prime subscribers. 2/3 of them or so are in the US, but this is a global opportunity. So we're very excited about that.
Okay, great. We are going to get to some now, soon, never questions in a little bit. But I do have a question from the audience that I want to get to. If you have more questions, please feel free to send them in. This one is, it says, has there been any specific types of software that has specifically helped in innovating to drive new revenue opportunities for the NBA? If so, how have they helped?
You know who comes to mind first? We were one of the early partners is WSC Sports. And we talk about AI, and maybe because it was fresh in my mind. It was amazing. We had people cutting highlight videos in 15 different ways. And they said, wait a second, we can just cut Steph Curry highlights from that game and send it as, whoa, you can. And so that's just been an example where and revenue against that, of course, when you're watching a highlight, you know, there's advertising against highlights and things like that. But more importantly, like, it's what people want, and we're able to do it quickly. And so they've been a great partner.
Another question from the audience. And actually, George Hanna hit on this a little bit last night in his acceptance speech, but just the cooperation among people on the business side and the tech business side around almost every league. But this question kind of gets to more on the player performance side, but you know, you can answer it.
I do love the business side, you know that.
How do you deal with teams who may be inclined to hide their latest tech and innovations to increase their competitive advantage versus other teams? And this is related to player performance. Do you guys even think about it and you just let it be? I mean, my sense is that on the player performance side, it's like there's not as much sharing by any stretch of the means as there is on the business side.
I mean, I'm someone who's spent my entire career on the business side, and we come from this world. You know, David Stern long ago, even though our teams compete against each other on the court, they should collaborate off the court. And that's been the culture of sharing. This is not your question, but like the culture of sharing on the business side is a true differentiating factor for the NBA that we're very proud of. But of course, it goes back to that premise. They're competing to win. And so it's understandable that said, there's time and there's business in some player technology too. So that's why you see over time a lot of the teams using similar technologies. But of course, someone has to be first.
Does the NBA have an AI advisory panel like the NFL does with teams?
We do. We have a team innovation group, and this is some of the people who are presenting on AI are on this group. And so we want to be broader than just AI with teams, but we certainly are actively collecting that and talking a lot to the league too.
Thank you for the questions. Now, soon, never. Are you ready?
What is soon?
Soon is, thank you. Thank you for asking. Now means now, or I'll call it within a year. Now is within a year. Soon is about 1 to 5 years. Never is not in my lifetime.
Okay.
You ready?
There's a big gap.
I know there's a big gap.
Okay, come on.
Thanks for pointing out the flaws in our...
The question's good.
All right, here we go. You ready? Now, soon, never. A major North American sports league will have a team whose home city is outside of the United States and Canada.
Now, Mexico City, the G League Capitanes.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Breaking attendance records. They are like, it's an amazing growth story. That's not quite what you were asking me, but no, actually, you've again found a flaw in our question here. So well done to you. Okay. Great merchandise, by the way.
Now, soon, never. At least one of the major North American sports leagues will license their video libraries to a generative AI company.
There's going to be testing in these between soon and never.
Yeah, I know. We'll get it. What should
it
we
may
call
not
it?
be the
Now,
whole-
soon, kind of soon, less soon, never. We'll go less soon.
Less. It's how you define license. Is it test? Is it your whole, like, there's lots of.
Fair enough.
things.
Hedging. All right, that's fine. Now, soon, never. You're not going to hedge on this one. I think you already
Okay.
told me this one. So now, soon, never. We will see a sporting event where more than 50% of fans who enter the venue will do so using biometric technologies.
It's now.
now.
And George Hanna, congrats to him, fantastic technologist and business leader of the Clippers. But at the Intuit Dome today, you have the option of using facial recognition technology to enter. An analogy is I've just been traveling, like you go to the airport, you have the option if you'd like. Could be faster if you do.
Yeah.
So, and what they're finding is up to 3/4 of the fans are actually opting in to use that technology, and it's just to enter and to do transactions. So we're seeing that, but it has to be done in the right way, obviously.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thank
Round
you,
of
Dan.
applause for Amy Brooks. Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of On Stage. If you enjoyed this exclusive conversation with one of the top strategists in global sports, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review and share it with colleagues or anyone working to understand the future of fan engagement and innovation. As always, a closing thought for you. As your organization plans for growth, how are you tailoring your experience for fans and customers in different markets, digitally, culturally, and experientially? I'd love to hear how you're approaching this challenge. Send me a note at tbloom@sportsbusinessjournal.com. Until next time, stay tuned and stay ahead. This is On Stage.